Welcome to Sleepy Secrets. Tonight, we're traveling back to a world unlike anything you have ever known. A world where the air was colder, the winds were stronger, and vast sheets of ice stretched farther than the eye could see. Long before cities, kingdoms, or even written history, our planet entered an age of snow and silence that lasted for millions of years. So, make yourself comfortable. Let your breathing slow. Allow the sounds of the day to gently fade into the background. As the story unfolds, imagine yourself standing beneath an endless sky, watching snowflakes drift across an ancient landscape untouched by time. Our journey begins more than 2.5 million years ago. The Earth has never remained the same for very long. Mountains rise only to be worn away. Oceans slowly open and close. Continents drift across the globe like enormous floating islands, moving so gradually that no living creature could ever notice their motion. Even the climate itself changes, sometimes becoming warmer for millions of years, and at other times slowly descending into bitter cold. Human history occupies only the tiniest fraction of this endless story. If Earth's history were compressed into a single day, our entire civilization would appear only during the final seconds before midnight. Everything we know, every language, every empire, every invention, would pass almost too quickly to see. But long before any human looked up at the stars, the planet belonged to ice. Our story begins during a period scientists call the Quaternary Period, around 2.6 million years ago. The Earth was already an old world. Dinosaurs had vanished tens of millions of years earlier. Mammals had spread across forests, plains, and mountains. Ancient relatives of elephants, horses, bears, wolves, and countless other animals already roamed the continents. To an observer, the planet might have seemed stable. Yet deep within the machinery of nature, invisible forces were preparing one of the greatest transformations in Earth's history. The change did not begin with a single storm. It did not arrive with an enormous blizzard. Instead, it began so quietly that no animal could possibly have noticed. Far above the Earth, our planet continued its endless journey around the sun. That journey was never perfectly constant. Over tens of thousands of years, Earth's orbit changed ever so slightly. Sometimes it became a little more circular. Sometimes slightly more oval. The tilt of Earth's axis also shifted, changing the angle at which sunlight reached different parts of the world. Even the direction that Earth pointed in space slowly wobbled, much like a spinning top gradually changing its orientation. These tiny astronomical changes altered how much sunlight reached the northern continents during the summer months. The differences were surprisingly small. Yet nature often responds dramatically to the smallest adjustments. Imagine leaving a window open during a cold winter night. The temperature inside your home may fall only a little at first. But hour after hour, the cold quietly spreads through every room. The ice ages began in much the same way. Little by little. Year after year. Century after century. The summers became just cool enough that not all of the winter snow melted away. At first, only a few patches of snow survived the warm season. High in the mountains of Greenland, the Canadian Arctic, Scandinavia, and Siberia, small white fields remained even after summer ended. The following winter brought fresh snowfall. The next summer melted part of it. But once again, a thin layer remained. Every year added another delicate blanket of snow. As fresh snow settled upon older snow, the enormous weight compressed the lower layers into dense ice. What had once been soft crystals gradually transformed into solid glaciers. These glaciers did not rush across the landscape. They moved so slowly that their motion was almost impossible to detect. Perhaps only a few centimeters each day. Sometimes even less. Yet year after year, century after century, they continued advancing. The frozen rivers of ice grew thicker, longer, heavier, until eventually they began flowing down valleys, crushing everything beneath them. Imagine standing on a lonely mountainside during this distant age. The air is crisp and remarkably clean. Every breath carries the sharp freshness of snow. Far above, thick clouds drift lazily across an endless blue sky. There is no sound of airplanes. No distant highways. No cities glowing on the horizon. Only silence. Ahead of you, a glacier stretches across the valley like a slow-moving ocean frozen in time. Its surface glitters beneath the pale sunlight. Deep cracks open across the ice, revealing beautiful shades of blue hidden far below. Occasionally, somewhere in the distance, a tremendous cracking sound echoes through the mountains. A massive block of ice has shifted. The glacier continues its patient journey. Not today. Not tomorrow. But over thousands of years. Nothing in nature moves more slowly. Or with greater power. As the glaciers expanded, they began reshaping entire continents. Forests disappeared beneath advancing ice. Ancient rivers changed course. Mountains were carved into sharper peaks. Deep valleys formed beneath the immense weight pressing downward. The glaciers carried enormous boulders for hundreds of kilometers before finally leaving them behind in completely different landscapes. Even today, many of the lakes scattered across Canada, Scandinavia, and northern Europe owe their existence to these patient sculptors of ice. Every ridge, every valley, every polished rock surface tells the story of glaciers that have long since vanished. The world itself was being redesigned. The cooling climate spread far beyond the ice. Grasslands gradually replaced forests across many regions. The growing ice sheets reflected more sunlight back into space, making the planet even colder. This created a powerful cycle. More ice reflected more sunlight. More reflected sunlight created cooler temperatures. Cooler temperatures allowed even more ice to grow. Slowly, almost imperceptibly, Earth entered one of its great frozen chapters. What had begun as a few lingering patches of snow was becoming an entire world transformed by winter. Across the northern hemisphere, white horizons stretched farther every generation. Animals began adapting. Plants slowly retreated. The winds grew colder. The seasons became harsher. And somewhere beyond those frozen plains, new giants were preparing to inherit this icy world. Creatures covered in thick wool. Powerful enough to survive temperatures that would challenge even modern humans. In our next chapter, we'll step into the heart of the Ice Age itself, where towering glaciers, endless tundra, and some of the most extraordinary animals ever to walk the earth await us. The world was growing quieter. Not because life had disappeared, but because the cold had changed everything. The glaciers that began as scattered patches of mountain snow had continued their patient advance for thousands upon thousands of years. They did not hurry. They never rushed. Yet with every passing century, they crept a little farther across the continents, reshaping valleys, rivers, forests, and coastlines. Eventually, enormous portions of the northern hemisphere disappeared beneath ice. This was no ordinary winter. It was a frozen world unlike anything modern civilization has ever experienced. Imagine standing high above the Earth, looking down from space. The familiar greens and browns of North America have almost vanished. Instead, a brilliant white blanket stretches from the Arctic deep into what is now the northern United States. Across Europe, another immense sheet of ice spreads over Scandinavia, Britain, and much of northern Germany. Farther east, glaciers cover vast regions of northern Asia. The planet almost seems brighter than today. Sunlight reflects brilliantly from the endless ice, making Earth shimmer against the darkness of space. Yet that dazzling beauty hides an unforgiving landscape below. Some of these ice sheets reached astonishing thickness. In places they stood more than 3 kilometers high. That is taller than many of today's greatest mountains. Imagine looking upward at a wall of ice nearly impossible to comprehend. Its surface rises so high that it fades into distant clouds. Layers upon layers of compressed snow, each representing countless winters, have become crystal clear ice. Some sections formed tens of thousands of years earlier. Others had fallen as fresh snow only decades before. Together they created one of the largest structures nature has ever built. Unlike mountains formed from rock, these frozen giants never remained completely still. Deep within the ice, pressure slowly forced the lower layers forward. The entire glacier flowed like an incredibly slow river. A river that could crush forests beneath its weight. The movement was almost invisible. If you stood beside the glacier for an hour, you would notice nothing. Spend an entire day watching. Still nothing. Even after several weeks, its position would appear unchanged. Yet return after 100 years. And the landscape itself would be different. Trees would have vanished. Valleys would have deepened. Enormous rocks would rest in places where no mountain existed nearby. The glacier had carried them there, one slow step at a time. Nature often performs its greatest miracles without haste. Beyond the edge of the great ice sheet stretched a world known as the Mammoth Steppe. Despite its frozen reputation, this landscape was not buried beneath deep snow throughout the entire year. Instead, it resembled an endless plain covered with hardy grasses, wildflowers during the brief summers, low shrubs, mosses, and lichens. Strong winds constantly swept across the open land. Winter temperatures could plunge far below anything experienced by most people today. Even summer remained cool. The growing season lasted only a few short months before frost returned once again. Yet this seemingly harsh environment supported an extraordinary abundance of life. In fact, some scientists believe the Mammoth Steppe was one of the richest ecosystems ever to exist. The secret lay beneath the frozen ground. Every spring, melting snow released precious water into the soil. The cool temperatures slowed evaporation. Grasses grew surprisingly well during the brief northern summer, covering the plains with fresh green vegetation. For countless grazing animals, food remained plentiful. Where great herds gathered, predators eventually followed. The Ice Age was far from empty. It was alive, vibrant, constantly moving. As temperatures continued falling, another remarkable transformation unfolded. The oceans themselves began changing. So much of Earth's water became trapped inside enormous glaciers that sea levels dropped dramatically. At the height of the Ice Age, the oceans stood more than 100 meters lower than they do today. Coastlines stretched far beyond their modern positions. Entire sections of continental shelf emerged from beneath the sea. New landscapes appeared where only water exists today. Imagine walking across land that is now hidden beneath the Atlantic Ocean. Or standing upon broad coastal plains that modern waves have long since reclaimed. To the animals of the Ice Age, these places were simply part of the world they knew. One of the most extraordinary consequences of the lower sea level was the appearance of vast land bridges. These natural pathways connected continents that are separated today by oceans. Perhaps the most famous was Beringia. Stretching between present-day Siberia and Alaska, this enormous plain was not merely a narrow strip of land. At times, it reached nearly 1,000 kilometers across. Rolling grasslands spread toward the horizon in every direction. Cold winds swept across the open plains. Great herds wandered freely between Asia and North America without ever crossing an ocean. To them, there was no boundary. Only another endless landscape waiting to be explored. Over thousands of years, countless animals used this bridge. Bison crossed eastward. Horses wandered westward. Woolly mammoths slowly migrated in both directions. Long before ships or airplanes connected continents, nature had already built its own highway. The climate shaped every living thing. Plants learned to grow quickly during the short summers. Many remained low to the ground, protected from the fierce winter winds. Others stored energy beneath the soil, waiting patiently beneath snow until warmer weather returned. Tiny flowers bloomed almost overnight, taking full advantage of the brief season of sunlight. For only a few precious weeks, the frozen landscape burst into surprising color. Purple blossoms. Bright yellow buttercups. Delicate white Arctic flowers. Clouds of insects filled the air. Migrating birds returned from distant southern lands. The tundra awakened with remarkable speed. Then, almost as quickly, winter reclaimed everything once more. Imagine standing alone upon one of these vast northern plains as autumn quietly fades into winter. The sky stretches endlessly above you, painted with soft shades of pale blue and silver. A cold wind whispers through the tall grasses, carrying tiny crystals of ice that sparkle in the fading sunlight. Far away, snow begins falling, not as a violent storm, but as a gentle curtain drifting across the horizon. The temperature drops a little more with every passing hour. Streams begin freezing along their edges. The ground hardens beneath your feet. Silence settles over the landscape. One by one, the last birds disappear toward warmer climates. The long Arctic night is returning. Soon, the greatest animals of the Ice Age will emerge from the snowy distance. Towering creatures wrapped in thick coats of wool. Their breath rising like clouds into the frozen air. Moving together across the endless white plains in search of food. In our next chapter, we will meet the magnificent giants that came to define this extraordinary frozen world, beginning with one of the most iconic animals to have ever lived, the mighty woolly mammoth. As the glaciers continued their slow march across the northern hemisphere, the frozen plains beyond them became home to some of the largest and most remarkable animals the world had ever seen. This was an age of giants. Not giants from myth or legend, but real creatures that walked across the earth for hundreds of thousands of years. Their footprints sank deep into frozen soil. Their breath drifted into icy morning air. Their calls echoed across endless grasslands where no cities, roads, or fences had yet appeared. Among them stood one animal above all others. The woolly mammoth. Imagine the first light of dawn spreading across the frozen horizon. The sun rises slowly, casting a warm golden glow over a world painted almost entirely in shades of white and silver. A thin mist hangs low across the plains. Snow sparkles like countless tiny diamonds beneath the growing light. For several quiet moments, nothing moves. Then, far in the distance, dark shapes begin appearing through the morning fog. One after another, they slowly emerge. Massive, peaceful, unhurried. A herd of woolly mammoths is beginning another day. At first glance, they resemble modern elephants. They possess long trunks capable of remarkable precision. Huge curved tusks sweep gracefully forward. Broad feet press deeply into the frozen ground. Yet almost everything about them reflects the harsh world they inhabit. A thick coat of shaggy brown hair covers nearly every part of their bodies. Beneath that fur lies a dense layer of insulating wool, softer than the outer coat and perfectly designed to trap warm air close to the skin. Below both layers rests an impressive blanket of fat, sometimes nearly 10 centimeters thick. Together, these natural defenses allow the mammoths to survive temperatures that regularly fall below -40 degrees Celsius. To us, such cold would feel unbearable. To the mammoths, it was simply another winter morning. Their ears were much smaller than those of modern African elephants. This was no accident. Large ears lose heat quickly. Smaller ears conserve warmth. Even their tails were shorter, reducing the amount of exposed skin vulnerable to frostbite. Every feature of the mammoth's body tells a story written by evolution. Generation after generation, only those best adapted to the cold survived. Slowly, patiently, nature shaped one of the greatest cold-weather mammals the planet has ever known. Imagine walking beside one of these magnificent animals. Its shoulder rises nearly 4 meters above the ground. Each slow step causes the frozen earth to tremble ever so slightly beneath your feet. The trunk moves constantly, gently sweeping aside snow in search of grasses hidden below. Now and then it curls gracefully upward, gathering another mouthful of food before disappearing into the animal's enormous mouth. Its curved tusks, some reaching more than 4 meters in length, serve many purposes. They help clear deep snow during winter. They strip bark from frozen trees. Males use them during contests for dominance. They even provide protection against predators. Beautiful, powerful, and endlessly practical. Despite their enormous size, mammoths were surprisingly gentle animals. Like today's elephants, they lived within close family groups led by experienced females. The oldest matriarch remembered the safest migration routes. She knew where rivers flowed even during dry years. She remembered valleys sheltered from fierce winter winds. She recognized places where fresh grass returned earliest after the snow melted. Her knowledge could mean the difference between life and death. Young calves rarely wandered far from their mothers. Protected within the center of the herd, they learned by watching older animals. They discovered which plants were safe to eat, how to use their trunks, when to remain still, when to move. Every season brought another lesson. Every journey strengthened the family. Winter demanded constant effort. A fully grown mammoth needed hundreds of kilograms of vegetation every single day. Finding enough food became increasingly difficult once thick snow covered the plains. The herd moved almost continuously. Their powerful tusks swept aside snow. Their broad feet crushed icy crusts covering the frozen ground. Patiently, hour after hour, they uncovered grasses that had remained preserved beneath the snow since autumn. Sometimes the search lasted from sunrise until long after sunset. Life in the Ice Age rewarded persistence. Not every season was harsh. When summer finally arrived, even if only briefly, the frozen world underwent an astonishing transformation. Snow retreated from the open plains. Thousands of wildflowers suddenly burst into bloom. Fresh grasses stretched across the landscape. Rivers overflowed with melting glacier water. Birdsong filled the cool morning air. Clouds of insects danced above ponds and wetlands. The mammoths took full advantage of these precious months. Calves born during spring grew stronger every day. Adults built thick reserves of body fat for the coming winter. Every hour of warmth mattered. Because everyone knew winter would return. It always did. The mammoths were not alone. Sharing the frozen plains were countless other grazing animals. Large herds of ancient bison grazed across the open grasslands. Elegant reindeer migrated in astonishing numbers, their antlers catching the soft northern sunlight. Wild horses thundered across the plains in tightly coordinated groups, their thick winter coats rippling in the icy wind. Farther north, sturdy musk oxen stood shoulder to shoulder whenever blizzards arrived, forming protective circles around their young. Together, these animals created one of the richest grazing ecosystems Earth has ever known. Where food was abundant, life flourished. And where great herds gathered, danger was never far away. Imagine standing quietly upon a gentle hillside overlooking the endless steppe. The afternoon sun hangs low in the sky, casting long shadows across the snow-covered plains. Below you, hundreds of mammoths move peacefully together, their slow footsteps almost rhythmic. Calves play between towering adults. Older females watch the horizon with calm, experienced eyes. The wind carries only the soft crunch of snow beneath enormous feet. It feels almost perfectly peaceful. Yet hidden beyond a distant ridge, another family is watching. Their eyes remain fixed upon the herd. They are patient. They are intelligent. And they have hunted these frozen plains for countless generations. In our next chapter, we will meet the formidable predators of the Ice Age, powerful hunters whose survival depended upon courage, teamwork, and perfect timing in one of the harshest environments Earth has ever known. The frozen plains were beautiful. But they were never peaceful for long. Where enormous herds of mammoths, bison, horses, and reindeer gathered, another kind of life quietly flourished. Hidden among rocky hills, snow-covered forests, and frozen river valleys lived the hunters of the Ice Age. They did not possess the size of the mammoth, nor the strength of the rhinoceros. Instead, they relied upon patience, observation, intelligence, and perfect timing. For every sunrise offered an opportunity, and every mistake could mean starvation. Imagine the pale light of early morning spreading across an endless snowy plain. The air is so cold that each breath forms tiny clouds drifting gently into the stillness. A herd of reindeer grazes peacefully in the distance, scraping away thin layers of snow to uncover frozen grasses beneath. Nothing appears unusual. The landscape is silent. Almost too silent. Then, a pair of golden eyes opens within the shadows. Barely visible against the snow-covered hillside, a great predator has been watching for hours. It has no reason to rush. Winter has taught every hunter the value of patience. Among the most famous predators of this ancient world was the saber-toothed cat, often called Smilodon. Despite its popular name, it was not a true tiger. In fact, it belonged to a completely different branch of the cat family. Its body was shorter and far more muscular than that of a modern lion. Powerful shoulders supported enormous forelimbs capable of wrestling prey to the ground. Its tail was surprisingly short, suggesting it relied on strength rather than long-distance speed. But the feature that captured every observer's attention was its remarkable teeth. Two long canine teeth extended from its upper jaw, sometimes reaching nearly 30 centimeters in length. At first glance they appear almost impossible. Surely such teeth would make hunting difficult. Yet evolution rarely creates anything without purpose. Unlike modern cheetahs, the saber-toothed cat was not built for long chases across open ground. Instead, it was an ambush hunter. Imagine one lying perfectly still among tall grasses dusted with snow. Its thick fur blends beautifully into the winter landscape. Every muscle remains relaxed. Every breath is slow. Minutes pass. Then an hour. Perhaps even longer. The cat waits. Not because it enjoys waiting, but because patience consumes far less energy than endless pursuit. Finally, a young deer wanders just a little too close. In one astonishing burst of power, the predator explodes forward. Snow scatters beneath its enormous paws. Within only a few seconds, the chase is over. The powerful forelimbs pull the prey to the ground before those famous canine teeth deliver a precise killing bite. The frozen silence quickly returns. Nature wastes nothing. Farther north lived another remarkable hunter. The dire wolf. Although often confused with modern wolves, dire wolves formed their own unique branch of the canine family. They were heavier, more powerfully built. Their jaws were stronger, capable of crushing thick bones that ordinary wolves struggled to break. Like modern wolves, they hunted in highly organized packs. Imagine watching a group moving silently across the snow. Each animal keeps a steady pace. No barking. No unnecessary movement. Only occasional glances toward one another communicate their intentions. Every member understands its role. The older wolves lead. The younger ones follow carefully. Together they cover astonishing distances in search of food. Teamwork allows them to challenge prey far larger than any wolf could face alone. Sometimes winter became so severe that even experienced hunters struggled to survive. Blizzards swept across the plains for days. Temperatures plunged lower and lower. Fresh snow buried the grasses beneath thick frozen layers. The great herbivores continued migrating. Predators followed close behind. For every hunter, survival depended upon endurance. Weeks might pass between successful hunts. During those difficult times, every scrap of food became precious. Even the frozen remains of animals that had died naturally provided valuable nourishment. Nothing went to waste. The Ice Age demanded efficiency from every living creature. One of the largest predators to roam these frozen forests was the cave lion. Despite its name, it rarely lived inside caves. Most caves simply preserved the bones of animals that died there long ago. The cave lion itself hunted across open grasslands and lightly wooded valleys. Imagine encountering one at sunset. Its broad shoulders ripple beneath a thick golden coat adapted to cooler climates. Unlike African lions today, males probably lacked large manes, making movement through forests and snowy plains much easier. Its amber eyes remain fixed upon a distant herd of horses. Each slow step is almost completely silent. The snow barely crunches beneath its padded feet. Every movement reflects countless generations of perfect adaptation. Grace, power, and remarkable self-control. Not every predator relied on speed or stealth. Some depended almost entirely upon overwhelming size. Among them was the giant short-faced bear. Standing on all fours, it already towered above most modern bears. But when it rose onto its hind legs, it could reach heights approaching 3.5 meters. Imagine seeing such an animal emerging from a mist-covered valley. Its enormous silhouette grows larger with every step. Powerful muscles shift beneath its thick fur. Its long legs allow surprisingly swift movement across open ground. Scientists continue debating exactly how this magnificent bear lived. Perhaps it hunted actively. Perhaps it often stole food from other predators. Most likely, it did both whenever opportunity appeared. Nature rarely limits itself to only one strategy. Life during the Ice Age was built upon balance. The predators controlled the numbers of grazing animals. The great herds prevented grasslands from becoming overgrown. Plants stabilized the soil. Rivers carried fresh water across the plains. Even death became part of new life. When a mammoth eventually fell, wolves, lions, bears, foxes, ravens, insects, and countless microscopic organisms all shared in the resources it left behind. Nothing truly disappeared. Everything returned to the great cycle of nature. Every living thing depended upon countless others. The frozen world was not merely a collection of animals. It was an entire living system. Beautifully connected. Delicately balanced. As evening settles across the Ice Age plains, the western sky glows with soft shades of orange and crimson. The temperature begins falling once again. A herd of mammoths gathers closely together, sheltering their youngest calves from the growing wind. Far away, the haunting howl of wolves drifts across the frozen landscape. A cave lion disappears silently into the twilight. Above, countless stars emerge one by one in the crystal-clear Arctic sky. The world grows quiet. But somewhere beyond the horizon, another remarkable story is about to begin. Because these frozen lands are no longer inhabited only by animals. A new traveler has arrived. One unlike any creature the Ice Age has ever known. Small compared to mammoths. Slow compared to wolves. Yet equipped with something more powerful than claws, tusks, or enormous teeth. A curious mind. In our next chapter, we will meet the first humans who dared to call this frozen world their home. The first humans did not enter the Ice Age as conquerors. They arrived as survivors. The frozen world they stepped into was already ancient. Mammoths had wandered its plains for hundreds of thousands of years. Wolves had learned every valley. Cave lions knew every migration route. Glaciers continued their slow advance across the north, completely unaware that a new species had appeared. Compared to the giants around them, humans seemed almost fragile. They had no thick coats of fur. No massive tusks. No powerful claws. No extraordinary speed. Yet hidden within their minds was something no other animal possessed to quite the same degree. The ability to imagine. To plan. To remember. And to teach. Imagine standing beside a small river at sunrise nearly 100,000 years ago. A thin layer of snow covers the ground. Smoke rises gently from a distant camp where a small group of people has spent the night. There are perhaps 20 individuals altogether. Grandparents. Parents. Children. Everyone depends upon one another. Their shelters are simple, built from wooden poles, animal hides, and whatever natural materials the landscape provides. A fire still glows softly at the center of the camp. Someone quietly places another piece of wood onto the embers. Tiny sparks drift upward into the cold morning air. For these people, fire is far more than warmth. It is life itself. Long before modern civilization, humans had learned one of the greatest skills in history. They learned to control fire. No one knows exactly who first discovered how to keep flames alive. Perhaps lightning ignited a forest. Perhaps volcanic lava started a grass fire. However it happened, our ancestors recognized something extraordinary. Fire chased away darkness. It frightened dangerous animals. It cooked food, making it easier to digest. It provided warmth through freezing nights. It allowed families to gather together long after sunset. Around those glowing flames, stories were probably born. Knowledge passed from one generation to the next. Children learned from elders. Experience became wisdom. Unlike claws or sharp teeth, knowledge could grow stronger every generation. The Ice Age demanded constant adaptation. Winters were long. Food was never guaranteed. The people living here could not remain in one place forever. Instead, they became expert travelers. Imagine watching a family prepare for another journey. Carefully made stone tools are wrapped in animal skins. Bundles of dried meat are packed for the days ahead. Children help gather firewood. The oldest members quietly examine the sky, the wind, and the surrounding landscape. They know where rivers freeze first. They remember valleys protected from blizzards. They understand the movements of reindeer and mammoths. Everything they have learned has been earned through experience. Every successful journey increases their chances of surviving another winter. Among these ancient people lived the Neanderthals. For hundreds of thousands of years they thrived across Europe and parts of Western Asia. Modern science has transformed our understanding of them. Once imagined as simple cave dwellers, we now know they were remarkably skilled. They crafted sophisticated stone tools. They hunted large animals with carefully made wooden spears. They cared for injured members of their communities. Some even buried their dead, suggesting emotional bonds that feel deeply familiar to us today. Imagine meeting a Neanderthal family. At first glance they appear different. Their bodies are shorter and more heavily built than ours. Broad shoulders support powerful muscles. Strong hands grip carefully shaped tools. Their large noses help warm the freezing air before it reaches their lungs. Every feature reflects thousands of generations adapting to one of Earth's harshest climates. Yet as evening arrives, they gather around the fire. Parents comfort children. Friends share food. Laughter almost certainly echoes through the cold night. Across thousands of centuries, their hopes and fears may have been surprisingly similar to our own. Farther east lived another mysterious group known today as the Denisovans. For many years, scientists knew almost nothing about them. Only a few bones and teeth, preserved deep inside a Siberian cave, revealed that these people once shared the earth with both Neanderthals and modern humans. Although their fossils remain rare, their genetic legacy continues today. Many people living across parts of Asia and Oceania still carry tiny traces of Denisovan DNA inherited from distant ancestors. The Ice Age was not home to only one kind of human. Several different human relatives shared this frozen world together. Sometimes they lived separately. Sometimes their paths crossed. Sometimes they even formed families together. The story of humanity is far richer than anyone once imagined. Eventually, our own species, Homo sapiens, began expanding into these northern landscapes. At first, the cold must have seemed overwhelming. Unlike the mammoths, humans possessed little natural protection against freezing temperatures. So they created their own. Animal hides became warm clothing. Bones became needles. Sinew became thread. Carefully stitched garments trapped warm air close to the body, allowing people to survive temperatures that would otherwise have been deadly. Every improvement came through observation. Every mistake became another lesson. Innovation slowly replaced instinct. Imagine sitting beside one of these ancient families as snow falls quietly outside. The fire crackles softly. A child watches with fascination as an elder shapes a new spear point from a piece of flint. Every careful strike removes another tiny fragment of stone. Slowly, patiently, a beautifully sharp blade begins to appear. Nearby, another person repairs a warm fur cloak using a bone needle. Someone stirs a pot suspended above glowing coals. The scent of roasted meat fills the shelter. Outside, the wind howls across the frozen plains. Inside, there is warmth, safety, family. The shelter may appear simple. Yet within these quiet moments lie the beginnings of everything that would eventually become human civilization. Life remained incredibly difficult. Not every hunt succeeded. Some winters lasted longer than expected. Illness, injury, or unexpected storms could threaten an entire group. Even the strongest hunters depended upon cooperation. One person alone rarely survived for long. Communities survived because everyone contributed. The young gathered fuel. Adults hunted. Elders shared knowledge accumulated over decades. Each member strengthened the others. Perhaps this was humanity's greatest adaptation. Not our intelligence alone, but our willingness to work together. As the stars begin appearing above the frozen landscape, the camp gradually grows quiet. Children drift to sleep wrapped beneath warm animal skins. The fire burns lower, its gentle glow reflecting in watchful eyes. Beyond the circle of light, the ice age stretches endlessly into darkness. Somewhere in the distance, wolves call to one another beneath the brilliant stars. Far away, a herd of mammoths continues its slow journey across the snowy plains. Tomorrow will bring another hunt. Another journey. Another lesson. And beyond those frozen horizons, a typical day in the Ice Age is waiting to unfold, a day filled with quiet beauty, constant survival, and unforgettable moments beneath one of the coldest skies our planet has ever known. Morning arrives slowly across the Ice Age. There is no sudden sunrise. No warm breeze. No chorus of birds filling the air. Instead, a pale silver light gradually spreads across the frozen plains as the sun climbs only a short distance above the horizon. Long blue shadows stretch across the snow, and the air remains so cold that every breath instantly becomes a drifting cloud of ice crystals. Another day has begun. For the people of the Ice Age, every new morning is both a gift and a challenge. Imagine waking inside a shelter made from mammoth bones and thick animal hides. The fire at the center has burned down to glowing embers during the night, but it has never gone out completely. One of the adults carefully feeds it with dry wood collected the previous afternoon. Within moments, gentle flames begin dancing once again. Warm orange light fills the shelter. Outside, The world remains frozen. Children slowly wake beneath soft fur blankets. Someone quietly prepares breakfast. Perhaps dried meat preserved from an earlier hunt. Perhaps fish caught beneath the ice. Perhaps roots gathered before winter arrived. Every meal is appreciated. Nothing is ever taken for granted. As the camp comes alive, each person already understands the day's responsibilities. There are no written schedules. No spoken commands. Experience has taught everyone exactly what must be done. Several hunters inspect their stone-tipped spears, carefully checking each binding made from animal sinew. Others sharpen flint blades until they are almost impossibly sharp. Women and older children gather woven baskets, preparing to search for edible plants wherever the frozen landscape allows. The youngest remain close to the shelter under the watchful eyes of grandparents. Every member contributes. Survival depends upon cooperation. The hunters quietly leave the camp. Fresh snow muffles every footstep. The wind blows gently across the open plains, carrying countless scents. An experienced hunter kneels beside a series of footprints pressed into the snow. He studies them silently. The tracks belong to reindeer. Not many. Perhaps a small group moving west during the night. The impressions are still sharp around the edges. They cannot be more than a few hours old. Without speaking, the hunters exchange brief glances. The search begins. Tracking is far more than simply following footprints. Every broken twig. Every patch of disturbed snow. Every tuft of fur caught upon a branch tells part of the story. The hunters notice where the animals pause to feed. They observe where the herd became startled. Even the direction of the wind influences every decision. Approaching from downwind prevents the animals from catching human scent. Patience matters more than speed. Sometimes an entire day passes without throwing a single spear. Nature cannot be rushed. Meanwhile, life continues around the camp. Several people search beneath the snow for edible roots that remain hidden beneath frozen soil. Others gather pieces of dry wood carried downstream by rivers before becoming trapped beneath the ice. Firewood is precious. Without it, the coming night could become deadly. Children learn by watching every movement. An elder explains which berries are safe during warmer months. Which plants can heal wounds. Which animal tracks belong to wolves. Knowledge passes quietly from one generation to the next. There are no classrooms. The landscape itself becomes the teacher. As afternoon approaches, the frozen world briefly reveals another side of its beauty. The sun reflects brilliantly from untouched snowfields. Tiny ice crystals sparkle like countless stars scattered across the ground. Far away, a frozen river winds through the valley, its smooth surface shining beneath the pale winter sky. A flock of snow bunting suddenly lifts into the air, their white wings almost disappearing against the snowy landscape. Even here, where survival demands constant effort, moments of extraordinary peace still exist. The hunters finally discover the reindeer. The herd grazes quietly several hundred meters away, scraping through shallow snow with their broad hooves. The people remain hidden behind a low ridge. No one rushes forward. Every movement is deliberate. They wait. The wind remains favorable. Slowly, they move closer. One hunter raises his spear. Another prepares beside him. The moment arrives. The spears fly. The herd bursts into motion, racing across the snow in a cloud of white powder. Most disappear into the distance. But one animal falls. The hunt is over almost as quickly as it began. The hunters approach with quiet respect. They understand something deeply important. This animal has given them another chance to survive. Nothing will be wasted. The meat provides food. The hide becomes clothing and shelter. The bones become tools and needles. Even the sinew becomes strong thread for repairing garments. Every part has value. As evening approaches, the hunters return to camp. Children run forward with excitement. The successful hunt means the entire community will eat well tonight. Fresh meat slowly cooks above the fire while the rich aroma drifts through the cold evening air. Laughter begins replacing the silence of the day. Someone tells the story of the hunt, using gestures to describe the movements of the reindeer. Children listen with wide eyes. Perhaps they have already heard similar stories many times before. Yet they never seem to grow tired of them. These stories are more than entertainment. They preserve knowledge. They strengthen the community. They remind everyone that survival is something achieved together. Night falls once again. The temperature drops rapidly. Outside the shelter, snow begins drifting softly beneath a sky filled with brilliant stars. Then, without warning, soft green light appears above the northern horizon. At first it is only a faint glow. Then graceful ribbons of emerald slowly spread across the heavens. The colors ripple silently from one side of the sky to the other, twisting and dancing like gentle waves upon an invisible ocean. The Northern Lights. To modern science, they are created by charged particles from the sun colliding with Earth's atmosphere. But to the people of the Ice Age, they must have seemed like spirits dancing across the heavens. The entire camp steps outside in quiet wonder. No one speaks. There is nothing to say. Some moments are simply meant to be experienced. As the lights continue their silent dance overhead, somewhere beyond the snowy horizon, strange and magnificent animals are beginning their own nightly journeys. Some are so unusual that they seem almost impossible. In our next chapter, we will meet the incredible creatures that shared this frozen world: giant beavers, towering elk, enormous ground sloths, and many more remarkable animals that once walked the earth beside mammoths and early humans. As darkness settled over the frozen plains, countless animals began their quiet journeys beneath the stars. Some wandered across endless grasslands in enormous herds. Others remained hidden among forests of pine and spruce, waiting patiently for the first light of dawn. Many of these remarkable creatures have no living descendants today. Their bones rest beneath layers of ancient soil. Their footprints have long since disappeared beneath melting glaciers. Yet for hundreds of thousands of years, they were as much a part of the earth as the mountains, rivers, and skies above them. Tonight, we meet some of the forgotten giants of the Ice Age. Not every giant carried tusks like the mammoth. Far to the west, in what is now North America, another extraordinary animal quietly roamed the forests. The giant ground sloth. To modern eyes, it almost seems impossible. Imagine a creature standing more than 3 meters tall when it rises onto its hind legs. Its body is covered in thick, shaggy fur. Long curved claws extend from each powerful forelimb, some measuring nearly 30 centimeters in length. At first glance, those claws appear frightening. Yet they were not designed primarily for hunting. Instead, they helped the sloth pull down branches heavy with leaves. Slowly, patiently, it fed among the trees. Unlike the quick movements of modern monkeys or squirrels, Every motion was calm and deliberate. The giant sloth lived life without hurry. It had no reason to rush. Imagine watching one during the quiet hours of early morning. Mist drifts gently through the forest. Birds sing softly from ancient branches overhead. The enormous animal reaches upward, wrapping its powerful claws around a young tree. With surprising strength, it bends the trunk downward until fresh leaves come within reach. For several peaceful minutes, it eats in complete silence. The forest itself seems to breathe around it. Small mammals dart through fallen leaves. Insects crawl beneath moss-covered logs. A distant stream whispers over smooth stones. The giant sloth simply continues eating. Its enormous size discourages most predators from attacking. Sometimes, the greatest defense is simply becoming too large to challenge. Far across the open plains of Europe lived another magnificent giant. The Irish elk. Despite its famous name, it was not truly an elk, nor did it live only in Ireland. It ranged across much of Europe and Asia, inhabiting open woodlands and grasslands throughout the Ice Age. What made it unforgettable were its antlers. Imagine standing before an adult male during autumn. Its shoulders rise nearly 2 meters above the ground. But above its head, an even greater spectacle appears. Its antlers stretch almost 4 meters from tip to tip. They are among the largest antlers ever carried by any known deer. During the breeding season, these magnificent structures became symbols of health and strength. Males displayed them proudly before rivals. Most contests ended peacefully. The larger display often convinced smaller competitors to step aside without fighting. Nature frequently rewards wisdom over unnecessary conflict. When winter arrived, those great antlers eventually fell away. For several months, the males carried only smooth bony stumps upon their heads. Then, almost unbelievably, new antlers began growing once again. Covered in soft velvet rich with blood vessels, they expanded at astonishing speed. Within only a few months, another enormous crown had formed. Every year, the cycle repeated. Growth, display, shedding, renewal. A quiet reminder that even the largest structures in nature are temporary. Along rivers and lakes lived another remarkable engineer. The giant beaver. Unlike modern beavers, which usually weigh around 20 kilograms, these ancient relatives could exceed 100 kilograms. Imagine encountering one beside a quiet lake at sunset. Its body is nearly the size of a black bear. Its broad tail glides silently through calm water. Scientists believe giant beavers probably did not build the massive dams created by their modern cousins. Instead, they spent much of their lives among marshes, ponds, and slow-moving rivers, feeding upon aquatic plants. Their world was peaceful, protected by water, sheltered among reeds gently swaying in the cool northern breeze. The Ice Age skies were equally alive. Huge flocks of migratory birds traveled thousands of kilometers every year. Snow geese crossed frozen continents in graceful formations. Swans landed upon lakes formed by melting glaciers. Owls hunted silently beneath moonlit skies. Golden eagles circled high above rocky cliffs, searching patiently for movement below. Although enormous mammals often capture our imagination, the smaller creatures played equally important roles within these ancient ecosystems. Every feather, every insect, every flower blooming during the brief summer, contributed to the remarkable balance of the frozen world. Perhaps the most resilient animals of all were the musk oxen. Even today, they continue surviving in some of the harshest Arctic environments on Earth. Imagine standing upon a windswept tundra as a fierce blizzard approaches. Snow races sideways through the air. The wind howls across the frozen landscape. Visibility drops until the horizon disappears completely. A herd of musk oxen senses the danger. Almost instinctively, they gather together. The adults form a protective circle. Their enormous curved horns point outward toward the storm. Inside that living fortress stand the youngest calves, warm and protected beneath the bodies of their parents. It is a strategy perfected over thousands of generations. Simple. Effective. Beautiful. Even the fiercest winter struggles to overcome a family standing together. Every creature of the Ice Age carried its own story. Some adapted through thick fur. Others through enormous size. Some survived by migrating across continents. Others remained in one place, learning to endure whatever the seasons brought. There was no single path to survival. Nature explored countless solutions, allowing each species to find its own place within the frozen world. Yet despite their incredible adaptations, change was already approaching. Almost too slowly to notice. The climate was beginning to shift once again. Far to the south, summers were becoming just a little warmer. Year after year, the glaciers melted ever so slightly. The great frozen kingdom that had lasted for hundreds of thousands of years would not remain forever. Imagine standing atop a gentle hill as the sun slowly sets across the Mammoth steppe. The sky glows with soft shades of gold, pink, and violet. A herd of mammoths disappears into the distance. An Irish elk walks quietly toward the forest. A giant beaver slips beneath the still surface of a nearby lake. The wind carries the scent of snow. But something feels different. Tiny streams trickle beneath the edges of distant glaciers. The first signs of change have already begun. No one notices. Not the mammoths. Not the wolves. Not even the people gathered around their evening fires. But the earth itself has already started writing the next chapter. A warmer world is slowly awakening. In our next chapter, we will follow the glaciers as they begin their long retreat, transforming landscapes, rivers, forests, and the lives of every creature that depends upon the frozen world. For thousands of years, the Ice Age seemed endless. The glaciers stood like permanent mountains of ice. The mammoth herds continued their ancient migrations. Human families followed familiar hunting trails passed down through countless generations. If you had lived through only a single lifetime, the world would have appeared almost unchanged. But the earth measures time differently. It changes not in days or years, but over centuries. Almost invisibly. The great thaw had already begun. Imagine standing beside the edge of a vast glacier on a quiet spring morning. At first, everything appears exactly as it always has. The ice stretches toward the horizon. Cold winds sweep across its brilliant white surface. Silence fills the frozen landscape. Then, you hear something unexpected. A gentle drip. Another. Then another. Tiny drops of water begin falling from the edge of the glacier. One drop alone means nothing. But millions of drops. Falling every day. For thousands of years. Can reshape an entire planet. The Earth was entering a warmer period. Small changes in its orbit around the Sun once again altered how sunlight reached the planet. Summers became just slightly warmer than before. Not dramatically. only enough that a little more snow melted each year than was replaced during winter. The difference was almost impossible to notice. Yet year after year, century after century, the balance slowly shifted. The glaciers began retreating. Imagine watching one of these enormous rivers of ice from the same hillside every year. At first, its edge barely moves. Perhaps only a few meters. Then a few more. Eventually, entire valleys that had remained buried beneath ice for thousands of years begin appearing once again. Dark rock emerges into sunlight. Ancient soil takes its first breath in ages. Streams flow where only ice had existed before. The landscape awakens. Slowly. Patiently. Life follows. The meltwater pouring from the glaciers became one of the greatest forces shaping the modern world. Powerful rivers rushed southward, carrying enormous amounts of rock, sand, and gravel. Some carved deep valleys. Others created vast lakes. Many of today's familiar rivers first took shape during this remarkable period of change. Imagine standing beside one of these newly formed rivers. The water is crystal clear, flowing swiftly over smooth stones left behind by retreating ice. Fish begin appearing in waters that had once been completely frozen. Birds gather along the riverbanks. Fresh plants quickly spread across the moist ground. Where water goes, life soon follows. As temperatures continued rising, forests slowly expanded northward. At first came hardy grasses and mosses. Then small shrubs. Soon afterward, young birch trees began appearing across the open plains. Pine forests gradually followed. Century after century, woodland spread farther into territories once dominated by frozen tundra. Imagine returning to the same valley every few generations. The open grassland where mammoths once grazed is becoming something entirely different. Young trees sway gently in the breeze. Birdsong grows louder every spring. The air feels softer, warmer. The world itself seems to be changing its colors. Not every creature welcomed these changes. The mammoth steppe depended upon cold, dry grasslands. As forests expanded, those vast open spaces slowly disappeared. The grasses that had fed enormous herds became less abundant. Migration routes changed. Food became harder to find. Imagine leading a mammoth herd across a familiar landscape only to discover dense forests standing where open plains once stretched to the horizon. The path remains, but the world surrounding it has transformed. Each year the journey becomes slightly more difficult. Each season demands greater effort. Nature is changing the rules. Many other animals also faced new challenges. Reindeer gradually shifted farther north, following cooler climates. Musk oxen retreated into the Arctic. Cold-loving plants became increasingly rare across southern regions. Meanwhile, species better suited to warmer conditions slowly expanded into newly available habitats. Red deer appeared where giant elk once roamed. Wild boar explored forests growing thicker every century. Brown bears spread into woodlands rich with berries and fish. The changing climate reshaped entire ecosystems. Some species adapted. Others moved. Some quietly disappeared forever. For human communities, however, the warming world created remarkable new opportunities. Imagine walking through a valley that had remained hidden beneath glaciers for thousands of years. Fresh rivers provide clean drinking water. Young forests offer wood for shelter and fire. New plants appear each spring. Animals become more diverse. The landscape begins offering possibilities that earlier generations could scarcely imagine. Human groups slowly expand into regions that had once been completely uninhabitable. Every new valley becomes another place to explore. Another place to learn. Another place to call home. The retreating glaciers also revealed astonishing reminders of the distant past. Occasionally, ancient trees emerged from melting ice. Sometimes the frozen bodies of long-dead animals appeared almost perfectly preserved. Even today, scientists occasionally discover baby mammoths whose fur, skin, and even stomach contents remain astonishingly intact after tens of thousands of years. The cold had acted like nature's own time capsule. Imagine stumbling upon such a discovery during the Ice Age. A creature that seemed asleep beneath clear blue ice. Untouched by time. Silent witnesses to a world that was slowly disappearing. As thousands of years passed, the great ice sheets became smaller and smaller. The immense glaciers that had once covered much of North America and Northern Europe withdrew toward the Arctic. Sea levels gradually rose as meltwater returned to the oceans. Coastlines shifted. Islands formed. Ancient land bridges slowly vanished beneath rising seas. The famous Bering Land Bridge, which had allowed humans and animals to walk between Asia and North America, slowly disappeared beneath the waves. Journeys that had once taken place on foot would never again be possible. The continents were becoming separated once more. Imagine standing upon a high cliff overlooking the changing world. Far below, a broad green valley stretches toward a winding river. Forests cover hillsides that were once frozen wastelands. Birds fill the morning sky. Flowers bloom where glaciers once stood. It is difficult to believe this peaceful landscape was once buried beneath kilometers of ice. The Earth has transformed itself once again. Yet one final mystery remains. What truly happened to the mammoths, the giant sloths, the saber-toothed cats, and so many other incredible creatures? Did the warming climate alone bring about their end? Or did another force quietly shape their fate? In our next chapter, we will explore one of the greatest mysteries in natural history, the disappearance of the Ice Age giants, and why an entire world of extraordinary animals vanished forever. For countless generations, the giants of the Ice Age had ruled the frozen world. Woolly mammoths crossed vast grasslands in great family herds. Giant ground sloths wandered through ancient forests. Irish elk carried magnificent antlers unlike anything seen today. Dire wolves hunted together beneath endless winter skies. Saber-toothed cats waited patiently among tall grasses. For hundreds of thousands of years, these remarkable creatures survived changing seasons, fierce predators, powerful storms, and relentless cold. It seemed they would live forever. But nature has a way of reminding us that nothing lasts forever. Imagine standing upon a quiet hillside about 12,000 years ago. The air feels noticeably warmer than it did only a few generations earlier. Small streams flow where solid ice once covered the land. Young forests continue spreading across the plains. Birdsong grows louder each spring. At first glance, the world appears healthier than ever. Yet something feels strangely different. The mammoth herd seems smaller. The familiar migration routes grow quieter each passing year. Animals that once covered the horizon now appear only occasionally. The change is subtle, but impossible to ignore. Scientists have spent generations trying to answer one remarkable question. Why did so many giant Ice Age animals disappear? Even today, no single explanation satisfies every mystery. Instead, most researchers believe several powerful forces worked together. The first was climate change. As the glaciers retreated, the great mammoth steppe slowly disappeared. Open grasslands gave way to expanding forests. The nutritious grasses that had supported enormous grazing animals became increasingly scarce. Imagine spending your entire life depending upon one familiar landscape. Then, generation after generation, that landscape quietly transforms into something entirely different. Food becomes harder to find. Migration routes become longer. Calves struggle to survive difficult winters. Little by little, life becomes more challenging. But another remarkable species was also spreading across the world. Humans. Unlike previous predators, humans adapted with astonishing speed. They improved their hunting tools. Stone spear points became sharper. Throwing spears increased hunting distance. Eventually, new inventions allowed hunters to pursue large animals more effectively than ever before. Imagine a small hunting party quietly watching a mammoth herd from the edge of a forest. They do not rely upon speed. They rely upon planning. Each person understands their role. The hunters communicate with simple gestures. They wait patiently. Only when every detail feels right do they move. Success depends not upon strength, but upon cooperation. It is important to imagine these ancient people fairly. They were not hunting simply for adventure. Every successful hunt meant food for children, warm hides for winter, bones for building shelters, sinew for sewing clothing, fat for fuel and cooking. Nothing was wasted. Every part of the animal became valuable. For people living during the Ice Age, survival always came first. Whether human hunting alone caused the disappearance of the giant animals remains uncertain. Some regions lost their mammoths before large numbers of humans arrived. Elsewhere, humans and mammoths lived together for thousands of years. The story appears different across every continent. Nature rarely offers simple answers. Instead, climate change and increasing human populations probably combined to create pressures that many large animals could not overcome. The warming world reduced available habitat. Human hunters added another challenge. Together, those pressures may have become too great. Imagine watching the final generations of woolly mammoths. The great herds that once stretched across endless horizons have become much smaller. Families travel greater distances searching for food. Young calves face increasingly uncertain futures. Older migration paths no longer lead to rich grasslands. The world they evolved to master is slowly disappearing beneath forests, rivers, and warmer seasons. One generation follows another. Their numbers continue falling. Until eventually, the great herds vanish from most of the earth. Yet the mammoths did not disappear all at once. A small population survived much longer on isolated islands in the Arctic Ocean. One of these places was Wrangel Island, far north of Siberia. Protected from many predators and separated from the mainland by rising seas, these mammoths continued living for thousands of years after their relatives had disappeared elsewhere. Imagine visiting that lonely island. Across windswept tundra, a few dozen mammoths still wander beneath the northern sky. To them, nothing feels unusual. They continue following ancient traditions passed down through countless generations. Completely unaware. They are among the last of their kind. Eventually, even these final survivors fade into history. The age of the mammoths quietly comes to an end. The same pattern repeats across much of the Ice Age world. The giant ground sloths disappear. The saber-toothed cats vanish. The dire wolves slowly fade from the fossil record. The magnificent Irish elk no longer walks European forests. One by one, the extraordinary giants become memories preserved only within the earth itself. Their bones settle beneath layers of soil. Rivers reshape the landscape above them. Forests grow. Civilizations rise. Thousands of years pass. Until one day, people begin discovering those ancient remains and asking questions about the incredible world that once existed. Today, paleontologists carefully uncover mammoth tusks from frozen ground. They brush dust away from enormous skulls buried beneath ancient riverbanks. Scientists examine tiny fragments of DNA preserved inside bones and teeth. Each discovery becomes another piece of an enormous puzzle stretching back tens of thousands of years. Modern technology allows us to learn remarkable details. What these animals ate. Where they traveled. How old they were. Even the changing climates they experienced throughout their lives. The Ice Age may be over, but its stories continue emerging from beneath the earth. Imagine standing alone as the sun sets across a peaceful Arctic landscape. The wind moves gently through tall grasses growing where glaciers once stood. The last light of day reflects upon a quiet lake. There are no mammoths on the horizon now. No giant elk. No saber-toothed cats waiting among the shadows. Yet if you close your eyes, it is almost possible to imagine them still walking here. Their deep footsteps. Their distant calls. Their slow migrations across an endless frozen world. Although they are gone, their legacy remains all around us. And perhaps the greatest lesson they leave behind is this. The earth is always changing. Life adapts. Life evolves. And sometimes, entire worlds quietly fade away, making room for those yet to come. In our final chapter, we will return to the present day and discover how the Ice Age still shapes our modern world, from the landscapes we live on to the water we drink, and the lessons these ancient frozen ages continue to teach us about the future of our planet. Our journey through the Ice Age is almost complete. We have crossed frozen continents, walked beside mammoths beneath endless northern skies, watched glaciers shape mountains and valleys, shared quiet evenings around ancient campfires with the first humans, and witnessed the slow passing of a remarkable world unlike anything alive today. Now, let us return to the present. Because although the Great Ice Age ended thousands of years ago, it never truly disappeared. Its fingerprints remain everywhere around us. Imagine standing on the shore of one of North America's Great Lakes during a peaceful summer evening. The water stretches so far that it almost resembles an inland sea. Gentle waves roll quietly onto the shore. Families enjoy the warm afternoon. Birds glide effortlessly above the water. It feels timeless. Yet this enormous lake exists because of the Ice Age. Thousands of years ago, colossal glaciers carved deep basins into the earth. When the climate warmed, those basins slowly filled with meltwater. The lakes we know today are among the final gifts left behind by the retreating ice. Without the glaciers, they would never have existed. The same story unfolds across much of northern Europe. Imagine hiking through the quiet forests of Finland or Sweden. Every few kilometers another crystal-clear lake appears between smooth granite hills. The rocks beneath your feet feel strangely polished. Their surfaces are rounded and gently curved. Long ago, glaciers slowly ground across this landscape like gigantic sheets of sandpaper. The ice scraped away loose soil. It polished mountains. It carved valleys. It reshaped entire countries. What now appears peaceful was once transformed by incredible forces moving almost too slowly to notice. Even the soil beneath many farms owes its existence to the Ice Age. As glaciers advanced, they crushed mountains into tiny fragments of rock. When the ice melted, those minerals remained behind. Over thousands of years they mixed with organic matter, creating rich, fertile soil. Imagine standing within a field of golden wheat gently swaying beneath a warm summer breeze. It may seem completely unrelated to frozen glaciers. Yet without those ancient rivers of ice, the fertile ground supporting the harvest might never have formed. Sometimes the past continues nourishing the future in ways we seldom recognize. The Ice Age also shaped the paths of rivers flowing through countless countries. As glaciers retreated, meltwater searched for the easiest routes toward the sea. Those rivers gradually carved valleys that still guide water today. Cities eventually grew beside them. Trade routes developed. Civilizations flourished. Imagine looking at a modern map. Many familiar rivers owe at least part of their journey to events that began during the last ice age. Ancient ice quietly influenced the future of human history. Deep beneath the Arctic, another remarkable connection remains hidden. Much of the ground stays permanently frozen throughout the entire year. Scientists call this permafrost. Imagine digging into the frozen soil of northern Siberia. Only a short distance below the surface, the ground remains solidly frozen even during summer. Within that frozen earth lie ancient grasses, seeds, animal bones. Sometimes entire mammoths preserved with astonishing detail. These frozen landscapes continue protecting pieces of the Ice Age, patiently waiting for discovery. Each scientific expedition uncovers another small chapter from Earth's distant past. Today, researchers travel to glaciers across Greenland and Antarctica carrying remarkable tools. They carefully drill deep into the ancient ice. Some cores reach depths of several kilometers. Inside those cylinders of ice are tiny bubbles of ancient air. Imagine holding a piece of ice that trapped Earth's atmosphere tens of thousands of years ago. Those tiny bubbles preserve a direct record of the planet's past. By studying them, scientists learn about ancient temperatures, volcanic eruptions, changing climates, and even the composition of the atmosphere long before written history began. The glaciers have quietly become Earth's greatest history books. Every frozen layer tells another page of the story. The Ice Age also offers an important lesson about change. Throughout our journey, one truth appeared again and again. The Earth has never remained perfectly still. Mountains rise. Oceans shift. Forests spread. Deserts grow. Ice advances. Ice retreats. Change has always been part of our planet's story. Yet the Ice Age reminds us of something equally important. Even slow changes can eventually reshape the entire world. A few extra warm summers, repeated across thousands of years, transformed continents. Tiny differences, given enough time, created extraordinary results. Nature often works quietly, but it never stops working. Imagine standing upon a peaceful hillside at sunset. The same place has witnessed mammoths, wolves, early humans, ancient forests, advancing glaciers, retreating ice. Countless generations have come and gone. Yet the hill remains. The evening breeze still whispers through the grass. The stars still appear one by one across the night sky. The earth continues its patient journey around the sun, just as it did during every ice age before us. There is something deeply comforting in that thought. We are only one small chapter in a story billions of years old. The planet existed long before us. And, in many ways, it quietly teaches us humility. As our journey gently comes to an end, imagine taking one final look across the ancient frozen plains. The northern lights shimmer softly above the horizon. A distant herd of mammoths slowly disappears into falling snow. The first humans gather around the warm glow of their evening fire. The glaciers sparkle beneath the pale moonlight. For one peaceful moment, every chapter of the Ice Age exists together, before slowly fading into history. Thank you for spending this quiet journey through one of the most extraordinary periods in Earth's history. If this relaxing documentary helped you unwind or drift towards sleep, I'd truly appreciate it if you left a like, shared your thoughts in the comments, and subscribed to Sleepy Secrets so we can explore more peaceful journeys together. Until our next adventure, may your dreams be calm, your night be restful, and your sleep be deep and peaceful. Good night.